Something changed on June 4th, 2026 that most shoppers have not felt yet, but they will. Before July is over. On that date, a 50% tariff on imported steel and aluminum took full effect. Not a proposal, not a threat, a done deal. Here is what that means for your grocery cart. The United States imports nearly 80% of the tin mill steel used to make food cans. American steelmakers shut down 9 tin mill production lines after the 2018 tariffs. Only 3 domestic lines remain. There is no domestic backup. Industry estimates are direct. Canned goods prices could rise by 15% or more within months. CEOs from Del Monte, Goya, Bush's Beans, and Hormel have already sent letters to Washington asking for relief. They have not received it. The price you pay for these 15 canned foods today is the last price you will see for a long time. Here is what to stock before July is over. Number 15. Canned tuna. Canned tuna is the third most consumed fish in the United States. It is also one of the most exposed items on this list to what is happening right now. The United States imports the majority of its canned tuna from Vietnam and Thailand. Vietnam faces a 36% reciprocal tariff. Thailand faces similar pressure. The National Fisheries Institute has already warned that tariffs will make canned tuna less available and more expensive, putting 1.6 million American jobs at risk in the process. A can of tuna running under $1 today is a pricing anomaly that exists because of decades of cheap overseas processing. That anomaly is ending. 30 grams of complete protein, no refrigeration, pull tab ready, 3 to 5 year shelf life. Buy cases now. The price you see this week will not exist in August. Number 14. Canned sardines. The United States is the world's biggest importer of canned sardines. The primary sources are China, Thailand, and Spain. China faces 145% tariffs. Thailand faces 36%. Spain faces the EU baseline of 20%, with the threat of higher reciprocal levies. Every major supply source is under simultaneous pressure. There is no cheap alternative waiting in the wings. Canned sardines in olive oil are one of the most complete shelf-stable foods available anywhere. Omega-3 fatty acids, complete protein, calcium from the bones. The olive oil itself adds healthy fat calories. They are about to become significantly more expensive or significantly harder to find, or both. Stock before July ends. Number 13. Canned salmon. Wild-caught Alaskan sockeye salmon increased from $4 to $6 per can 5 years ago to $6 to $10 per can today. That was before the current round of tariffs. Declining Pacific salmon runs have tightened domestic supply. Rising aluminum costs have pushed packaging costs higher. Labor shortages in Alaskan processing facilities have added further pressure. The Kirkland 6-pack at Costco, the best value format available, has seen reduced availability as supply contracts. Omega-3 fatty acids, complete protein, calcium, 3 to 5 year shelf life. This is the format worth prioritizing right now. Once it moves to online only, the pricing advantage is gone. Number 12. Canned chicken. The 50% steel tariff hits every steel can on the shelf equally. Canned chicken, which runs under $2 per can at current pricing, is directly in the path of the 15% price increase that industry estimates are projecting. 30 grams of complete protein per can. No refrigeration. Pull tab opening, 0 preparation required. Here is what most people do not calculate about canned chicken specifically. It is the one shelf-stable protein that works in the widest range of meals without any transformation. Stir it into rice, add it to soup, eat it cold directly from the can. Mix it with peanut butter for a high-protein, no-cook meal. That versatility makes it irreplaceable in a serious food reserve. And at current pricing, it is still affordable in quantity. That window is closing. Number 11. Canned corned beef. Corned beef production is under pressure from multiple directions simultaneously. Record low cattle availability has pushed beef processing costs higher. Hormel, one of the primary producers, has already publicly called for tariff relief on tin mill steel. The steel used to make corned beef cans is imported. The cattle supply is contracting. Both input costs are rising at the same time. Canned corned beef has a 3 to 5 year shelf life. It provides dense protein and fat calories in a single can. It requires no preparation beyond opening. In a long-term food storage scenario, corned beef provides the calorie density that leaner proteins like tuna and chicken cannot match. Buy the multi-pack format when available. The per-can cost advantage disappears fast when prices move. Number 10. Canned beans, black, pinto, kidney. Bush's Beans CEO has already signed a public letter to Washington requesting tariff relief on tin mill steel. That letter exists because Bush's Beans is facing a direct and immediate cost increase on the steel cans that hold every product they make. The cost will be passed to retailers. The retailers will pass it to you. A can of black beans running under $1 today has a 25 to 30 year shelf life when stored correctly. Complete plant-based protein, fiber, iron, complex carbohydrates. The can itself is about to get more expensive to produce. The price on the shelf will follow within months. Buy cases. Store them cool and dry. The per-can cost you pay this week is the last pre-tariff price available. Number 9. Canned tomatoes, crushed and whole. Del Monte and Goya Foods have both signed letters requesting relief from steel tariffs on canned goods. Del Monte specifically cited crushed and whole tomatoes as products where the steel can represent a significant portion of total production cost. At thin margins, a 15% cost increase on the packaging alone is not absorbable without price increases at retail. Large format canned tomatoes, 28-ounce cans, are the foundation of dozens of shelf-stable meal preparations. Soups, stews, sauces, rice dishes. They add flavor, acidity, and nutrition to plain staple meals in a way that directly addresses palatability fatigue. 3 to 5 year shelf life. Buy cases of the large format while it is still under $1.50 per can. Number 8. Canned soup, ready to eat. Ready-to-eat canned soups are directly exposed to the steel tariff. Every can of Campbell's Chunky, Progresso, and store brand ready-to-eat soup is packaged in imported tin mill steel. Here is the preparedness case for canned soup specifically. It requires zero preparation. Open it. Eat it cold or heat it over any heat source. A complete meal format with broth, vegetables, protein, and carbohydrates in a single can. In the first 24 to 72 hours of a disruption, ready-to-eat soup is the food that feeds a family without requiring any thought or preparation. That friction-free characteristic has a value that calorie counts do not capture. Current pricing on ready-to-eat soups will not survive a 15% steel cost increase reaching retail. Stock before it does. Number 7. Canned corn. 95% of all processed tomatoes come from California. A similar geographic concentration applies to American sweet corn processing. 2 major crop failures in the Corn Belt in the past 3 years have already tightened canned corn supply. The steel tariff adds a packaging cost increase on top of a supply that was already contracting. Canned corn has a 3 to 5 year shelf life. It provides carbohydrates, fiber, and natural sweetness that transforms plain meals into something genuinely satisfying. In a long-term food reserve, corn is the item that prevents flavor monotony in the grain and legume diet that most storage plans produce. Buy cases of the large format. The price movement here will be fast once it starts. Number 6. Canned green beans. Green beans are one of the lowest sodium, highest fiber, most nutritionally complete vegetables available in canned form. They are also almost entirely processed domestically. which means the primary cost pressure is not ingredient supply. It is the steel can itself. A 50% tariff on imported tin mill steel, with 80% of that steel coming from overseas and only 3 domestic production lines remaining, is a direct and near-term cost increase for every can of green beans on every shelf in the country. 3-year shelf life. Buy cases before the tariff cost reaches retail pricing. The gap between current prices and post-tariff prices on green beans specifically may be the widest on this list. Number 5. Canned pumpkin. Libby's produces approximately 85% of all canned pumpkin in the United States from a single growing region in Illinois. That geographic concentration means a single bad growing season creates a nationwide shortage. It has happened before. It will happen again. Add steel tariff pressure to a single source supply chain with no geographic diversification, and you have a category that is genuinely vulnerable to availability disruption before the end of the year. Canned pumpkin has a 2 to 3 year shelf life. It provides vitamin A, fiber, and potassium in a dense, low-calorie format. It works in both sweet and savory preparations, which gives it versatility that few other canned vegetables match. Stock before the fall when demand and supply pressure peak simultaneously. Number 4. Spam and canned meat products. Hormel Foods, the manufacturer of Spam and multiple canned meat product lines, has publicly called for tariff relief on tin mill steel. They made that call because they are facing a direct and documented cost increase on the steel cans that hold every product they make. Spam has a 3 to 5 year shelf life. It provides protein and fat calories in a compact, shelf-stable format that requires no refrigeration. It is the item that World War II military planners specifically chose as the primary canned protein for field rations because of its calorie density and durability. The price increase that is coming for Spam specifically is not speculative. The manufacturer has already told Washington it is coming unless relief is granted. Buy before August. The pre-tariff price on Spam will not exist again for years. Number 3. Canned coconut milk. Most canned coconut milk in the United States is imported from Thailand and the Philippines. Thailand faces a 36% reciprocal tariff. The Philippines faces similar pressure. And the cans themselves are steel. 2 cost increases on a single product. Import tariff on the contents, steel tariff on the container. Canned coconut milk has a 2 to 3 year shelf life. It provides healthy fat, calories, and a flavor dimension that transforms plain grain and legume meals in a way that nothing else on this list replicates. In a long-term food storage scenario, coconut milk is the one ingredient that makes rice taste like a meal from a different culture entirely. That variety has psychological value that goes well beyond its nutrition label. Buy cases now. The double tariff exposure here makes this one of the fastest moving price categories on the list. Number 2. Canned chickpeas. Goya Foods signed the letter requesting tariff relief. Chickpeas are one of Goya's primary product lines. The tariff exposure is direct. The chickpeas themselves are often imported. The steel can is imported tin mill steel. Both are under simultaneous tariff pressure. 1 cup of canned chickpeas delivers 15 grams of protein, 12 grams of fiber, and a meaningful dose of iron and folate. They are complex carbohydrates that release energy slowly, and they help keep blood sugar stable for hours. They are also the most versatile legume on this list. Eat them cold, roast them, mash them into a paste. Add them to soup, mix them with olive oil and salt, and eat them directly from the can. Stock cases. Before the Goya price adjustment hits retail, it is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. Number 1. Canned beef broth and bone broth. This is the item that makes everything else on this list better. A can of beef broth added to plain white rice produces a meal. Added to canned beans, it produces a dish. Added to any grain or legume combination, It adds depth and flavor that transforms shelf-stable eating from survival into something resembling actual food. Beef broth is under triple pressure right now. Record low cattle availability is tightening the beef supply chain. Steel tariffs are increasing the cost of the can, and domestic broth production relies heavily on imported tin mill steel for packaging. A can of beef broth running under $1.50 today will not stay at that price. And here is what makes broth specifically the #1 item on this list. Nothing else in your food storage does what broth does at so little cost per can. It is not a primary calorie source. It is the ingredient that makes every other calorie source worth eating. Stock it in quantity. Cases of beef broth and bone broth bought before July is over are the best investment on this entire list. So there it is. 15 canned foods, 1 policy change, and a price increase that the manufacturers themselves have already told you is coming. The window between today's prices and post-tariff prices is measured in weeks, not months. Which of these 15 are you picking up this week? Drop it in the comments.